The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 3 is now out, and I just got done watching it, so let's talk about it. And of course, spoilers ahead. So, going into this episode, we saw obviously what happened in Episode 2, the events that transpired, especially in the end. And as I said in my last prediction, or not prediction video, sorry, as I said in my last review video, sorry, about Episode 2, go check that out if you haven't already. That will be linked. I pretty much said, okay, I want to see the aftermath of this episode, but especially with Tommy, which is actually what we got. And this whole episode, if you think about it, was pretty much just like the aftermath of the events from Episode 2, aka the death of Joel, and the whole, like, I guess the whole horde attack that happened on Jackson. So those two events are pretty much, like, I guess the impact, the effects on just everyone in Jackson was explored in this episode. Essentially, that's my best way of describing it, and that's why I wanted. I thought that's the way they should go, anyways. Because if they didn't go this way, it'd just be kind of weird. Because I feel like it's, yeah, I don't know. This is the only like logical way of doing it, going about it after the last episode, of course. Because we know a lot of people are going to be coping. They're going to be just traumatized, of course. Because a lot of people died that day. Including Joel, of course. And man, I need to stop saying of course. that's besides the point. But yeah, we started the episode off with, honestly, just, in my opinion, I'd consider it a cold opening. Just very raw and emotional opening there. And we see Tommy, and he pretty much has to just look at Joel. His dead body, obviously, it was covered with the tarp, because that's where they had the bodies at before they actually went to, before they actually dug the bodies and like put them in the, or yeah, before they actually put the bodies in the ground up, do the funeral and everything like that. I'm forgetting the name on it, bro. Why am I forgetting the name? Oh my God, besides the point. But yeah, he was looking at Joel's body and he just couldn't hold it, and he's like, man, can't believe this, my brother's gone. And Tommy, the actor plays Tommy, he gave, honestly, an all-time performance, in my opinion, this episode. Just his acting in general, I feel like has been like kind of overlooked or like underrated in some way. But man, he's gonna thrive. I hope we see more of him throughout the season, and even in the future season, like season 3. But yeah, no, he did a great job. And it's just, especially the emphasis was on the watch, of course. And then you see, Tommy even mentioned Sarah, along the lines of, was it like, I hope you see her or something. I don't know. Anyways, but he mentioned Sarah, which I'm like, oh wow, that kind of caught me off guard. I don't know. I wasn't really expecting that, to be honest. That's probably why. But obviously, we know the story between Joel, Sarah, and Tommy, so it makes sense. It kind of links it back like there, like a little through line to that. And then we see, what's it called? We see Ellie waking up, and then in the hospital. And before that, before she actually wakes up in the hospital, we see, obviously, it transitions to the hospital, and we see the aftermath there of a whole bunch of people that are just in critical state. They have wounds. Just everything. There's a whole bunch of people that are hurt. So much noise. Is chaotic, especially like something you just expect to see in a hospital after something like a tragedy happens in real life, like that type. It's just chaotic. It's like, what is going on right now? So much going on, and of course, understaffed. But that's besides the point. And then we see Ellie. She wakes up and actually see a tube inside of her, because they have to. I guess she was in. She needed tubes pretty much. She was in that bad of a state, obviously, and it makes sense since, what was that one guy's name? That was part of the Abby's group, the WLF. Bro, I know his actor name is Danny Ramirez, but I forget his character name in The Last of Us. But he just absolutely just kicked the living day out of Ellie, right in the ribs, and then that's obviously why she had the pipes. And then she wakes up and she just starts screaming because she's thinking about all all that traumatic stuff that happened, especially at the lodge, with Joel just getting right in the head. That was what was shown. And then she's just screaming like, this is unreal. Like, I can't believe it. That's what her point of view was. And I like that, obviously. I want to see that. So I was happy with what I saw there. And then she gets discharged, but it's like a 3-month gap after, or sorry, before she gets discharged. It's like a 3 months later type thing. So we do see a little bit of a time jump there. And then she's talking to the doctor. She's like, can I go? And they're like, one more thing. And then she passed the test, whatever. And the therapist comes back that we saw Joel talk to, and then that's how they kind of connect the whole therapist thing from was it episode 1 or episode 2 that Joel talked to the therapist? I think it was episode 1, right? And then that's how they connected there. And then she's telling Ellie about how Joel was talking about the whole pretty much everything, the events that occurred in the season finale at the hospital, pretty much about how he saved her, and how he essentially kind of regrets it, or well, yeah, kind of, pretty much how he did bad things in order to save her. That's essentially what it was. And then she's like, I can't think of anything, obviously like that. And then she gets discharged, of course. And then we see, what do we see after that? Oh, she goes to the house and then she's reminiscing about Joel and everything like that. And then of course she goes to just looks at things in the house that Joel used, or just remind her of Joel. And of course she gets to the closet and then you see Joel's coats, and it's just sad, just tears dropping down, everything, just raw emotion right there. And then she's tearing up, and then she's like, and then the tears and everything, all the snot just going onto the coat. It's just raw, man. I don't know what else to say. And then as it's happening, Dina comes in, and then Ellie, the way Ellie is, she has to quickly just rub tears off and act like nothing happened. She's like, 1 second, just in typical Ellie fashion. And then she goes and meets Dina, and then Dina's like, I was looking for the hospital, blah blah. And then she's like, I got cookies for you, but I brought them because I got bad news. And then she pretty much breaks it down to Ellie that I withheld this information from you. And not only that, but she also withheld that information from Tommy and the whole council, which you're not allowed to do. That will get you. There will be repercussions for that. And that's what Tommy said to her later on when they approached Tommy about it. And then he's like, "You have to go through the council. This is it. Can't do anything right now. We're still grieving. All of Jackson's still grieving, trying to deal with the losses, and also just trying to recover from the damage that's been done to Jackson. Because right now they have no infrastructure. Well, their infrastructure is lacking right now, essentially. And then that's kind of like the whole dynamic between when we finally get to the vote in the council. And right before that happens, actually, Ellie is talking to Jesse. They're training, or Jesse's training Ellie, so that if it does get approved, she can actually be back in shape, so that she doesn't get absolutely just destroyed, because she needs to be fit in order to fight in combat again. And just this episode in general is just building up, like a lot of the scenes we're seeing, just building up to, obviously, eventually, I don't know what happens because I haven't really played much of the second game, so I don't really know what happens in the end, especially. But essentially, the way it's looking, it's building up to Ellie just eventually killing Abby, and that's what we're seeing. And you're just giving this the events we've seen this episode alone are just adding more fuel to the fire to make Ellie even more mad. So like when that moment happens, you're feeling like, yeah, let's go. You're like the audience, like, let's go, come on. So you get Abby, and you can still sympathize with Abby, but just the more damage you see the WLF have done, it makes you more like I don't know. I guess it makes you side with Ellie more. It makes her reason more justified, because just alone from just obviously we know Ellie is doing it for Joel. That's the main reason. Still, we know that. Come on, okay. Even though she made that whole speech, we know she just made that so that she could have a chance, and still it failed, which was unfortunate. That was also a very sad moment. And Seth just turned out to be a W Mans. He went from being an absolute bum to a W Mans, which is great to see. That he has a little redemption arc going on here. I doubt it's gonna be as good as someone like Rex from Invincible, but that's besides the point. He did help a lot. Seth did help a lot this episode. So that's, I don't know, W Mans. That's all I gotta say. He clutched up, especially with that speech, that little monologue he did. Whew, that was a nice little touch. But yeah, they left the vote. The council absolutely just disappointed, bro. You even saw it on Tommy's face and even on Jesse's face. It's like, bro, come on. It was an 8-3 vote in favor of rejecting the proposal, bro. And I'm like, come on, what the hell, man? And also your speech didn't matter. And Ellie uncharacteristically wrote everything that she wanted to say on a piece of paper, just like how Jesse told her to. So she took Jesse's advice, because at the end of the day, Jesse's right. He knows how Ellie is, which is that she's a loose cannon, essentially. She's going to do what she wants, and you just don't know what it's going to be sometimes, or really all the time. That's how she is, and she just lets her emotions get the best of her, essentially. So she knew that going into it, she just went raw without anything, just off the dome, it would have been absolutely just bad. She would have had no shot at all. So at least by writing it out, it's more concise, I guess, and without the emotions. That's what it was. So I like that scene quite a bit as well. And then obviously, fast forward, we see Ellie and Dina. They leave. They essentially leave, and Dina knew that Ellie was already doing that. Whatever, she's like, I'm tagging along with you, and also you need me because look, bro, you don't even have the essentials that you need. There's no way you're gonna last out there. And essentially, like, I'm not letting you go. I'm not letting you go by yourself. Because originally the proposal was gonna have the 16 squad team go, but obviously that got rejected. So, and we know Ellie, she's not gonna take no for an answer. She's gonna do what she wants. So whether you're with her or not, it's gonna happen. Okay, so that's how it is. And then they go, and Seth is there. As they're leaving, Seth comes out, and he's like, here's my rifle. It's better. And then she's, Ellie, you can just see throughout this episode, for every interaction she's like had with Seth, that she's still just not over it. Rightfully so, because Seth was being absolute bum. But still, he's slowly redeeming himself here. He's having some good points. He's on the right side, I'd say, in my opinion. Yeah, and then he's pretty much helped Ellie and Dina just get out of Jackson and just on their way to Seattle, which is what this episode was just building towards. And then finally they leave, and they slowly make their way to Seattle. But along the way, just outside of Seattle, when they're like, 9 or 10 kilometers out, they find out that the squad, I don't know, to me, I don't know, I might be wrong, but just the way it sounded, the way, like, when we saw the scene with the cult earlier on, or sorry, with the group earlier on, it sounded like it was a cult. I don't know, I might be wrong, maybe I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about it, but it sounded like it was more of a cult to me. I don't know, maybe, let me know if I'm wrong down below, if I'm right, I don't know, might be wrong, but that's what it sounded like to me. And we also saw a little bit there, it was the whole whistle thing, which was pretty cool. That was unique. That was their type of language, just warn each other, and they spoke like in that way to be more discreet. But ultimately, we found out that WLF eliminated them. That's what happened. They got eliminated by WLF, and most likely it was by Abby's group as they were making their way back. Or that's what could be presumed, or just could be random people from the WLF. Either one of those. I don't know. It could be either or. And obviously, this is another reason, like I said earlier, it's adding on to Ellie's case for when she eventually kills Abby. Just makes it more justified, essentially. And then you see that, and it's just, bro, both of them, Ellie and Dina, just like, what's going on? We can't handle this. It's just absolutely insane. They killed the child, whole family, everyone's just dead. And it's just horrific scenes there. But then after that, we see Ellie and Dina, they go to Seattle, and they're finally looking over, they're like, wow, this is gorgeous, whatever. But also we find out, we explore, we spend some time with the WLF, especially Danny Ramirez, the character he plays. And we see him just in the tower in Seattle, and he's just overlooking the entire city for the WLF, and he's just on the walkie-talkie communicating about, just giving comms as a clear, stuff like that, whatever. The generic, basic type of stuff you expect from this type of this type of scenario, this type of what's going on right now. Okay, I don't know how to say, that's what you just expect. And then we finally get our first look at the WLF, I guess. And then we see them. They have tanks, they have the armor or whatever, they have everything, the helmets. And there's a lot of them, a lot more than you thought. They had, like I said, tanks. It was kind of insane. It was kind of menacing, to be honest. I'm like, how are 2 people going to take down this entire thing? Because obviously, you're going to take down all of them in order to get to Abby. That's how it is, okay? And it's going to be a long, tough road. I'm like, well, how are they going to do this? That's what I'm thinking. But I guess that's the whole point. It's supposed to be challenging. You're not going to just be able to easily get revenge like that, whatever. Like, ain't no way. That'd be no fun, right? Especially for a viewing experience. It's like, come on. There needs to be a payoff. It needs to be earned. And that's exactly what we're building up to. So, I don't know. I liked this episode, that's what I expected. But it's definitely by far the weakest episode out of the 3. I'd probably give it, like a 7.5 type thing. I don't know. I don't think that's too harsh. I think that's pretty fair, to be honest. It's not even like a bad episode. Still a good episode, but even like there's some moments in the episode where I'm like I was kind of getting somewhat like disengaged from it. But still, by no means is it a bad episode. So yeah, that's what I think about the episode. Let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next one. Peace.